engines, welcome back. What am I doing on this episode? I'm pulling the turbocharger off the 2JZ because we've got some issues. I'm not sure exactly what's the issue with the turbocharger, but she's not sounding too good, so I'm pulling that puppy off, stripping it down, sending it away for a rebuild. So stay tuned if you wanted to see any of that type of stuff. At the same time, for whatever reason, my brand new 64, 66 got recalled from Precision anyway, so that's gone back, so I'm left with no turbos at the moment. The rest of the video is me stripping down the exhaust manifold, prepping it up for the EGT bungs and all the sensors that I've purchased as well. What else have we got? Pulling off the intake manifold, so she's looking super bare, but I'm pulling the intake manifold off because I want to pull the injectors out, the fuel filter and everything, get them all cleaned and flow tested, make sure they're 100%. The main reason for the intake manifold coming off is to upgrade the NOx sensors. So when I do my road tuning and everything, I've got what I call the better version of the NOx sensors. 2JZ NOx sensors work, but I'll go into more detail on that further through the video. But upgrading those, which is nice and easy. A few other bits and pieces, so hopefully you learn something. If I'm doing something wrong, let me know. If I'm doing something right, let me know. Let me know what you think, and do what you can to subscribe, like, share it. Okay, so it's not as bad as it could be, but it definitely isn't that good. Now when I shut down this engine, it normally spins until it gets to a stop, probably takes about 20 seconds. Now it sounds quite grindy when it's doing that. So I noticed it last night when I finished everything off and I got it ready for roll racing, which was going to be today. So I pulled the cover off, or the air filter, and I've got more play in the shaft than I really want there to be. It's just forward and back, not side to side. So it still spins perfectly. Turbine blades are all perfect, but it's going to need a rebuild. Damn. That's not easy to get out. Oh my God. Would be nice with a V-band flange instead of this T4 business. Okay, so here's the manifold if anyone's interested. So this is from Golby's Parts. This is one of those, what do you call it? It's like their $950 one. I'm unsure of the brand, but I can put it maybe in the little write-up on YouTube. It's actually really well made. So split pulse, welded on both sides. It's all port matched and everything. Relatively short runners, so it spools up quick. Pretty good. Okay, this is the little contraption that I was using on either side. Pretty much just to spread out and put pressure on. So all it is, it's just a simple setup really. Just a little cut off piece of pipe, stainless, that's like 20 mil. These are 10 mil bolts. And then you just obviously put one shifter on here and one shifter on the other, and you just wind it open, and then either side, either side, either side, slowly she presses out. You can see here, so in the turbocharger, it's just got this. This is kind of like floating as it is now, but once it's in, it's all pressed up, and it sits in this groove here. And I have noticed one little issue. Well, there is oil sitting in my oil feed, so it's not naturally dripping through, which is a little bit of a concern for me. I have tried to just gently put this on inside to see if there's anything stuck inside there. I would have thought it would naturally drip through, but maybe it does need pressure. Okay, so this is the oil feed fitting that comes with the Precision Turbo. Now, what you'll see is, if I can zoom in, there's a little pinhole right there, and that must be their restrictor that they put in. This is why you don't put any restrictions into your oil feed line, because they already have it, obviously. Now, I couldn't blow on this before, but now I can. I cleaned it all out, put solvents through it, made sure it was nice and clean. It's the tiniest of holes, but that's how they design it anyway. So I'm not sure if this did get blocked, but it can easily get blocked. Look at that. So definitely, where is it? Definitely rock one of these from now on. So that's just an inline filter for your turbo oil feed. Because that hole, man, that's small. I can't even find it. Bang. Okay, so right now I'm prepping up to install the remainder of the exhaust back pressure system, so I can get feedback back to the ECU. So I just removed, behind this was the boost solenoid. I'm going to change that location to about here, or maybe around there. I'm not 100% sure yet. But what I've been able to do is fabricate this copper line. The concept here is, if you didn't know, I've got a this is to test the back pressure in your exhaust manifold, and I can switch it over to my exhaust dump pipe if I want to as well. So it's testing the how much back pressure is in the exhaust manifold before it gets into the turbine and spins the turbine. And I guess the concept here is you want to get data on that, so you know the efficiency range of the turbo. And what does that mean? That pretty much means if I'm getting too high back pressure in here, I'm choking it up and I'm going to create a lot of heat, and there's no point in increasing the boost pressure anymore until I solve the exhaust section. The compressor side, say I'm running 20 psi, you wouldn't want to have more than 40 psi of back pressure in there, so double the cold side pressure. Anyway, you need this copper line. The reason you need the copper line is because when you weld on the bung onto a common spot on this manifold to get the back pressure, there's clearly a lot of heat. So this copper line obviously expels all the heat. By the time it comes back here, you've got this baffle type sort of system. In one of my previous videos, I've shown the install of this Tarks at EFI Solutions back pressure kit that you can install. And then on here is the actual pressure sensor pinned back to the ECU. Happy days. So that's just a little 101 on that. So if you want to do back pressure in your exhaust manifold, if it's a twin scroll single external wastegate, which I have, I can do this because when it vents out to the single external wastegate, that's a common area in the total manifold. And then, yeah, you need a copper line to take the heat out. Otherwise, you're just going to cook your sensor probably instantly. And then you need this like baffling system. very similar to like a muffler. It's just got like gauze in it, and that's just, it must be the harmonics and the pulsing that you get from all the different cylinders firing. It evens that out, so you get a bit of a, it gets rid of the noise, so to speak. So that's what we're doing here. Happy days. Okay, so obviously in the process of taking the intake manifold off, so pretty much it's going to be stripped nearly bare again. Why am I doing this? I want to upgrade the NOx sensors that are underneath the intake manifold, and potentially put in my thermal gasket in between the cylinder head and the runners, which helps stop the transfer so much of heat going from the engine to the intake manifold. Helps to keep maintain sort of consistent lower intake air temps, which is always good. But I'll go into more depth about and more detail about the NOx sensors once I strip it all off. Damn, she's all stripped down and alone. Well, at least she'll come back better than ever. So, what have we got here? The reason I took the intake manifold off is for the NOx sensor. There's one of them right there. That just unwinds. And then there's another standard NOx sensor for the 2J there. Now, I've taken that off and I'm removing those because I'm going to install this Bosch Motorsport setup from Golby's Parts. Pretty reasonably priced, to be honest. But what does it come with? It comes with the OG donut style motorsport, Bosch Motorsport sensors. It comes with a stud to adapt into the 2J block, and it comes with the plug with the 2 pins. So that's awesome. But since it has 2 pins, the standard setup here only has one cable going to it, so a 1-pin setup. So basically, this NOx sensor grounds itself, so it uses a signal going back, and then it grounds itself for its signal, well, sensor ground. But the Motorsport, Bosch Motorsport ones want you to actually have 2 pins there. So what I'll do is I'll just jump down into my ECU where it is. I've got a termination sort of block for my sensor grounds that are used for all the sensors. So I'll run 2 cables out. I'll run one for there and one for there. That means I'll have 2 pins, and it's happy days. So this is the NOx sensor here. Now these NOx sensors do work, but it's just when you're coming up with really good sort of NOx strategies for the in the Link ECUs and all other ECUs, they tend to use these donut style NOx sensors. One, they're really easy to get hold of, and 2, even when you buy like NOx sensor audio equipment and everything, to like when you do dyno tuning, they will use these ones as well. So these are the ones that are preferred to be used, and those are the ones that I want on there, pretty much. So, boom. Okay, so here we've got the, this is my Speedflow inline fuel filter. So I'll just crack these open. Basically, I'm just inspecting it to see if it's picking up any excess dirt or anything from the tank. Should be pretty good. But if you haven't seen into one of these, obviously this is what it looks like. So it comes in through there, goes around all of this, and then goes through there and comes out of the hole, obviously. It's pretty self-explanatory, really. There's a couple of bits and pieces in there. Nothing too drastic. So this looks like, yeah, this is definitely metal. What do we got in here? I'll blow all this out, but yeah, it's nothing really. Don't even know what it is, but there's bugger all. Don't know if you can see that. Hopefully that focuses, but I'll just blow that out with compressed air and keep it nice and clean. It should be pretty good. Okay, so Golby's Parts delivered all of this, which is very, very nice. So what is this? This is just a new T4 gasket for the turbocharger, new valve stem seals for the 2J. I have new ones in there, but I feel like one of them's leaking because I can see that when I take the exhaust manifold off, so I might put a new one on. I've got the Thermocouple EGTs sensors, all of them, so there's 6 of them because each one goes into each runner. Different lengths, pre-terminated. These are the Haltech ones. And then I've got the corresponding bungs that you've got to weld onto your exhaust manifold. So if we have a look here, if you haven't seen them before, this is the part you weld onto the exhaust manifold, or this is the part you weld onto any sort of tube or pipe or anything you want to take the temperature of. And then this nut goes onto the, obviously onto slides on top of there. And then you have these, I guess, brass seals that clamp down together to hold it all in place. So that's really nice. And then this is the weld-on back pressure sensor that I've got to put on the exhaust manifold as well. So thank you. Okay. What have we got here? We've got the Bosch Motorsport 1650cc injectors for the 2J. I've literally just pulled these out. They're not that old at all, but I've literally just pulled them out because I want to do a flow test, make sure there's no blockages whatsoever. This is the knock sensor kit from Golby's Parts. There's another kit inside here. But you can see it's all really sort of top-notch, high-end stuff. So super happy with that, especially for the price, guys. Thank you very much. And then we have the Haltech EGT, so Thermocouple Module. So this makes installing the 6 EGT thermocouples really easy. Opted for the Haltech one, even though it is a little bit more expensive. But it's a nice billet case. It's all really high-end. So, and they are Haltech EGT sensors anyway. So it connects via the CAN system, so through the network, so you don't have to literally pin anything into your ECU. It's really sort of plug and play, nice and handy. So thanks again, Haltech, you legends. But that pretty much wraps this one off. What I'll do in the next video is I'll continue on and mount the EGT sensor bungs, mount the manifold, the sensors. I'll pin these in and get all these hooked up, put the intake manifold back on. Pretty much finish this whole setup, so should be ready to go after that. So like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Happy days, thank you very much.